How's your artwork going? I don't think we've talked about this in a while. You're still doing that on your, is it Patreon? I think is you're doing it, right? Or is it OnlyFans? I can't remember which one it is,
Um,
but it's some sort of paywall thing.
yeah, so I don't actually do my artwork on the pay stuff. I just do like pictures, fight camp, getting ready, and stuff like that on Patreon.
So according to the law of attraction, you can attract anything in your life as long as you match it vibrationally. So I'm going to tell you how to do that. So to start, you're just going to set your intention and you're going to say what it is as if you already have it. So let's say
Kevin Holland submission.
you're going to say, I have.
Kevin Holland submission.
Then you're going to visualize and think about what you would feel if you already had that.
Kevin Holland submission.
So you would probably feel happy, abundant, maybe you have more freedom to spend more money, and then start visualizing like where would you go shopping, what would you buy, and then just start feeling everything you would feel as if you were using that money.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Potty Break Picks, where we break down UFC 291. We got Dustin Poirier taking on Justin Gaethje in the main event for the BMF title. This is taking place in Salt Lake City, Utah. So for the first fight, we are Potty Break Picks, so we break down all the women's fights, and then we'll be going into the main card just for a little extra content this week, since we only have one fight. We got Miranda Maverick taking on Priscila Cachoeira. And I think you got the better read on this one, Brian. What do you think?
My read is that it's very weird that the UFC is doing this, bro. I don't know why they put the main event at the beginning of the card.
Yeah, that's just...
It makes no
it's
sense.
not great business.
This is the only women's fight of the week, and I did a lot of research, and I was very upset because JoJo pulled out. And now I know way too much information about JoJo that I don't want to know. I watched way too many JoJo fights. I'm very upset about it. But to fill that in, I had to watch a bunch of Miranda Maverick now. Priscila Cachoeira, you don't have to watch much to understand her. So, you know, we've got the reads on this. And what I see is a lot of weird stuff. But in the like, just giving it to you straight, like, Miranda Maverick wins this. Like, that's all you need to know. Miranda Maverick should win this. But she also should have won her last fight. You know, she received death threats like crazy because she fought like absolute shit for no reason. Yeah. This is the research. I'm in the weeds.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was like it was a huge thing.
Deep in the community, damn.
Yeah, no, like people were getting very upset at her because she just didn't come to perform. She says in interviews now she regrets it, but she also came, and you'll see. I put the little thing as the Miranda Maverick, the blinded, because her excuse for her last fight was that she received an optical concussion. It was blind after the first round of the fight onwards. That's what she says. She said she was blind. She said her game plan wasn't to go for grappling. When she did, she was stuffed and punished for it. And the only reason she went for the grappling was because she couldn't see the person she was fighting. That's what she's saying, dude. This is what she's saying. So... would I bet on a girl who says that kind of stuff? You know, do I think it's just an excuse? I'm not going to say that. But if she actually does have an optical issue, which she claims she's had 2 torn retinas and now an optical concussion, you know, would I bet on that girl to beat Priscila Cachoeira? That's the question the bettors have to ask, dude.
Thing is, like, it could just be like an excuse, you know, that athletes make. You know, they got to tell themselves something. Like Robert Whittaker, I don't know if you saw his statement after the Duplessis fight.
Don't hurt me.
Bro, it sounded like a lunatic. Nothing what he was saying made sense.
Bro, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
Anyway, that's off topic.
No, that's on topic. That's on topic. But you have to ask yourself, if someone's making those kinds of excuses, are they also going to be making improvements to their game plan? And the game plan of someone like Priscila Cachoeira is... walk forward, 1-2, walk forward, 1-2, walk forward like a fucking crackhead. Like the zombie she is, dude, and just 1-2, 1-2 your face off. Miranda Maverick has the takedowns to stop that. Priscila Cachoeira's, like, biggest weakness is just someone laying on top of her. But, like, is she going to do that if she hasn't changed anything about her game plan since the last fight where that worked, where 1-2 walk forward worked, you know, perfectly? She got stumped by 1-2 walk forward. And that's all Priscila Cachoeira is. So I'm not saying to bet on Priscila Cachoeira. I'm just saying to heed caution. Miranda Maverick isn't as much of a lock as it looks like. It's just...
don't parlay Miranda Maverick. Don't bet her straight.
Yeah.
The only bet that I see here is the under 2.5 rounds at minus
go.
115. Like, that's the only way to play this, in my opinion.
For sure.
'Cause you got to fight at elevation. It's short notice, and they kind of, it's a striker versus grappler matchup, so they play into each other's weaknesses. So I like the under.
Yeah.
It's a sneaky bet.
A huge factor that people are putting into this is that Miranda Maverick trains at elevation normally. But again, in the weeds, I'm watching podcasts that have like 100 views, bro. And she's saying that when she got the call, she was in Florida and she had been there for 2 weeks training to do some cross training with the Goat Shed guys. And then she came up as soon as she could. So, she's acclimated, but it's almost the same thing as Priscila Cachoeira, who got there last week. And, I don't think the elevation is going to play as much as a factor as some people would like to whenever they're mentioning that Maverick trains at elevation. I wouldn't consider that whenever you're doing this, but also even at, with no cardio at all, I think Miranda Maverick beats Priscila Cachoeira if she's actually fighting, right?
Probably, yeah.
So, I don't know. He's right. Under 2.5 is good here. I'm just a little too well researched, and I didn't want to throw that away because these are, I'm in pain this week.
Yeah, yeah.
Watching these fights, bro. Priscila Cachoeira is a rough watch, but yeah, we can move on to the next part of the card.
Okay. So kicking off the main card, we got Holland taking on Chiesa. This fight is a tricky one this week. I've seen people on both sides. Personally, I'm on the Holland side myself. I think whoever can impose their game plan on the other person first is going to win this fight. Whether that's Chiesa taking down Holland and controlling him there, or Holland just styling on him on the feet, because it's not even going to be close if they're in striking exchanges. Chiesa, he's been away from the game for a year and 6 months now. Holland, this guy fights like every 2 months. Like he fights all the fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
He's the younger fighter. And it's not like he's super green or anything. Like I said, he takes so many fights. So he's got the cage experience. Even though he is younger, he's got more fights, actually.
It's crazy. Yeah, no. The amount of fights Kevin Holland has is just insane.
Chiesa, he's on a 2-fight skid. And he's working as like a UFC ESPN analyst or some shit. Like, I see him behind the desk a lot, and I don't like betting on guys with backup plans.
That's a good point.
They're not as hungry, and they don't want it as much. I think Holland just wants it more. I like that he moved down a weight class. He moved down to 170. It shows he's more motivated, and he looked really good against Ponzinibbio.
Good point.
Yeah, also, I like Kevin Holland money line at minus 140. I just think, like, yeah, he's got bad takedown defense, but he's making improvements. He's in the prime of his career. I think he'll come in with a little bit more improved takedown defense. And even if Chiesa does take him down, it's not like Chiesa is a fucking, like, jiu-jitsu mastermind. I don't think he can submit Kevin Holland.
Damn. I think I might disagree with that, but everything else I'm on page with. I think that Kevin Holland, like, the biggest factor in his career up to this point has been motivation, and your point of saying, like, him coming down is inspiring to bet for him. You know, like, it's like this guy clearly was talented from the beginning, but it seemed like he just didn't have the discipline to give a fuck about the grappling. And that was his biggest weakness. And now
he just didn't want to cut weight. And, like, you got Chiesa. Would you want to bet on the guy who's working behind a desk?
Yeah.
Who's already got his retirement plan laid out? Or do you want to bet on Kevin Holland, who's making a run for the title by dropping down a weight class?
True.
You know what I mean? And Chiesa, his last 3 wins, Diego Sanchez, Rafael dos Anjos, Neil Magny, all decision wins. This guy is not getting subs. 4 years ago was his Diego Sanchez win by decision.
Crazy.
Vicente, if anything, this is my hot take. If anything, I think Kevin Holland gets a sub here.
Holy shit.
At plus 350, I think Kevin Holland
Oh my God.
I think he club and subs Chiesa.
Holy fuck.
Chiesa got subbed by Vicente Luque
Bro,
2 fights ago.
you said you had a
I
hot
think
take before this? I was not ready for that, bro.
I think Kevin Holland is gonna rock Chiesa at some point in this fight, and Chiesa is gonna die for his legs, and Kevin Holland locks up a Darce choke. That is just, I see it so clearly. There's not a doubt in my mind that that's not gonna happen. It's gonna happen. He's gonna get it.
Fuck.
He's gonna Darce choke Chiesa diving on his legs.
You're a fucking shaman, bro. This is what's gonna happen. This is what's gonna happen. We're gonna upload
I see
this.
it, man. I see the vision.
We're gonna upload this a second time. Delete this version that gets posted on Tuesday, and there's just gonna be a loud beeping noise for the past 5 minutes.
No, that's not gonna happen because Holland's gonna lock up a Darce and Chiesa's gonna sit behind the desk the rest of his career.
Hey man, that's men's MMA, you know? It's so up in the air. You never know what's gonna happen. That's why we stick to women betting, bro.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, I see.
Alright.
Okay, so Chiesa's game, like obviously he's supposed to be a submission artist and just decisions. I get it, but what submission defense has Kevin Holland shown versus what takedown defense has he shown?
Okay, but you have to look at who Kevin
Yeah.
Holland has gotten submitted by. Fucking Hamzat Chimaev on like a 2 days notice.
True.
There's no shame in that.
Yeah. But all right, wait. Let me pull up the record. We got to argue about this, bro.
I think
genuinely see Chiesa not winning. Like I'm not gonna pretend like he has something in the striking, but to say that he can't submit him.
I don't think he can submit Kevin Holland, bro.
All right, hold up. Michael Maverick Chiesa. Whoa, we got some crossover.
He's not losing by submissions. He's losing by ground control time when
That's
he
a good
does
point.
lose.
Okay, maybe he does have.
He
submission
can
defense, bro.
he can stay safe on the bottom,
Mhm.
but his only issue and why people say he has a bad ground game is when people like, just hold him there. And
Yeah.
he's not trying to get up. He's just like, smacking their ear from the bottom. But I think he's working on that. He's showing a lot of motivation to,
Yeah, that's the
win
key.
fights.
I would have loved to like root for Kevin Holland his whole career, but it's not until just now that we've started to see him actually, like
Yeah.
you said, be motivated. So, yeah, my take is not that Chiesa wins this. It's just that, wow, I'm blown away by how tricked I was into thinking Chiesa was a submission artist. I was
Yeah,
fully tricked.
You were false.
I got fucking psyoped by
So
Chiesa on the
he
analyst
really-
desk.
He really just doesn't like fight in the stand up at all. Michael Chiesa.
Yeah, that's true. And he doesn't have much wrestling either. Other than
he's
what were you gonna say?
what was it? Oh, okay. He really doesn't throw any punches at all. I forgot what it was, but like he throws about like 10 significant strikes a fight on average. A
Yeah.
fight over 3 rounds.
That's wild.
He's always going for takedowns. Like you know what his game plan is. No questions about it. You know what Kevin Holland's game plan is? It's just, is Chiesa going to be able to hold down Kevin Holland? I don't think so. I think he can get the fight down. I think it will hit the mat, but he's not dangerous enough to sub Kevin Holland, instantly.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Holland will work to the feet at one point. 1 minute's there.
Yeah. So you're saying the under is clean then?
So I think the under is solid just because I think Kevin Holland can win by submission and KO.
Oh my god.
I like the under. And then you also get the Chiesa. Like, what if Holland just like turns his back to Chiesa or something?
Yeah.
Chiesa just locks up a RNC. Like, I could see it.
Yeah.
But the same time, I really don't. I like Holland money line a lot more than the under, and then sprinkle that plus 350 sub in there
Bro, you're gonna
for a
ruin
little.
our whole thing we got going here. If that hits, we have to fully pivot into men's MMA, and we'll be stuck in it, dude. If you hit that, dude,
Dude, I see it.
we're done.
I know it's happening.
We'll be in the trenches with the rest of these fucking guys, dude.
I know.
We're not meant for this. All right.
Well, I don't know. Next week there's only one women's fight too, so I don't know. But we've been really spoiled the past 2 weeks. We've
True.
had like 3 or 4 women's MMA fights.
Yeah.
think
Spoiled.
we're the
That's
only
the word I
person-
would use.
We're the only people that have ever say that. Twitter's like crying. They're like, so many women's MMA fights, and we're just like, so happy we get to tape women's MMA.
All right. Well, then I think we both have the same take with this next one, Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green. Mostly
Yeah.
just don't touch it. You
You
know?
want to kick us off on that?
I'm gonna be stealing some of the stuff you were saying before because it's just true. Like, they're both supposed to be, put as these endurance fighters, which I mean they are. I'm not saying that they're not, but one of them's at the absolute end of their career. I mean, we all know this. And then Bobby Green, like, he did just get knocked out, pretty viciously by Drew Dober, and like really badly. Like it was a guy who can hit a lot harder than Ferguson. He doesn't lose fights where people are putting it on him over time. He loses
Yeah.
against more explosive people. So that's not a horrible sign for this lasting, but the over isn't really worth it. What were you saying the odds were at for the over right now as of Tuesday?
think- Check.
But
So
what
the over 2.5 is minus 145.
Yeah.
The under is at plus 115.
Yeah, yeah. And so what you were saying before was like, maybe touch the under, but the over, like, I don't really see much value in that, like, for something that still has the chance of ending quickly, but also, it's only because of how they're built that people would think that it would go over. But, I'm not going to touch it at all, personally.
Yeah. I agree with you. If you can't really, the dog money on Tony is like somewhat tempting. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't, just because like taking such a step down from Darush, Oliveira, Michael Chandler, but then you just think about his fight with Nate Diaz, and my God, he looked fucking horrible.
Yeah.
And he got subbed by Nate Diaz too, which doesn't get subbed like that. Like he survived on ground for 15 minutes with Oliveira,
Yeah.
didn't tap to his armbar. But Nate Diaz, God forbid Nate Diaz locks up, what was it, a Darce or a
It wasn't.
rear
pretty.
naked choke?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it was really fucking sloppy. Like, he'll tap to that. Like I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on in his head.
I
But
don't think he does either.
Bobby Green shouldn't be minus 425 against anybody in the UFC. Like these odds are just so wide, but you can't parlay up Bobby Green. You can't trust Tony Ferguson to get a win. So
Yeah.
like sprinkle Tony Ferguson maybe, but under 2.5 rounds at plus money is a sneaky contrarian bet because a lot of people still have the impression that both these guys are tough. I think Bobby Green is tougher, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But Tony Ferguson, I think his durability is just gone.
Mhm.
And I think Bobby Green just knocks him out, to be honest.
Yeah. And I think Bobby Green has to face people that, his defensive boxing comes into play more. With someone
Yeah.
like Ferguson, he really is going to have a chance to crack on the guy. Like, he's really going to be able to change and pivot his game plan to a more aggressive style. And, like, think in the mindset of someone like Bobby Green, who's known as this defensive, kind of boring guy for the most part, coming off of recently being KO'd.
Yeah.
You know, like I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out extreme, like way more aggressive than we've ever seen him. You know, just to try and put on a show because he's facing a, you know, not a bum, but you know, Tony Ferguson.
Maybe. I mean, Bobby Green, he's not really known as like a power puncher. He doesn't really get knockouts.
True, but that's what I'm saying is he's using that defensive style
Yeah.
up against people who
Yeah.
are a higher level. So
But who knows, dude? Tony Ferguson could come in here just like with a glass chin.
yeah,
You know, you never know.
100%. I could see that too. It's rough. This guy, I wish
know,
he retired.
sucks.
We all wish he retired. It's kind of sad to even cover this part of the fucking card, man. Oh man. Anyways,
Yep.
that's men's MMA, man.
Men's MMA for you.
All right, and then we got Stephen Thompson versus Michelle. I'm Pereira. I'm gonna try Pereira. I'm sorry.
Pereira.
Thank you. I struggle with every Brazilian last name and every French last name and every last name I've struggled with this card. I've watched his fights before. I promise. It's just
Yeah.
can't get his last name in.
So this fight is gonna take place on the feet. Like if anyone wrestles, obviously it's gonna be Pereira.
Mm.
But you can't trust Pereira to wrestle. When the fuck has he ever like implemented a wrestling game plan? Fucking never. Puts on exciting fights on the feet. Where I think the fight gets separated here is where Thompson is more disciplined than Pereira when he fights.
For sure.
Pereira's more wild. Although he has kind of calmed that side down a little bit. Like against Ponzinibbio, he stayed pretty calm and disciplined in that fight. But I think Thompson, even though he's older at 40 years of age, I just think he's still getting better,
Mm-hmm.
like just a little bit.
It's
Not
true.
like he's getting a little bit better. He's asking for fights where he's not gonna have a fucking wrestler in on his legs the whole time. So I think that's why they gave him Pereira. But yeah, this fight's gonna take place on the feet, and there's not many guys that I would take against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson on the feet, to be honest. Not a lot of guys I would bet.
Yeah, and I think that that explosive nature like does lend into a wrestling game plan if they've shown that. You know, like if I had seen Michelle Pereira like have that sort of game plan implement and that discipline, then I could actually like the game plan to beat Stephen Thompson's been, you know, plastered on billboards for fucking years, you know. It's been there, but it's who can do it or not. And that's why he's like the perfect gatekeeper. He's like perfectly at that level where he deserves to be, where it's just like it separates someone who can actually adapt their style or not. And I don't think Michelle Pereira is that. You know, and like you said, I wouldn't take anyone in a striking contest at welterweight against Stephen Thompson, even at his age. He's still fast. He hasn't lost that. And he's still getting better. Even his counter wrestling's getting better. He gives himself more openings. I think that's what he struggled with earlier on in his career is like he had counter wrestling, but they weren't counter wrestling into openings. And you start to see that in more of his recent fights where he's able to break away and strike, which, you know, I like seeing from kickers. Anyone that can kick and can break away and kick or break away and strike, like it opens up your game plan and makes you just that much scarier. And we've seen that recently with him. So, you know, if Michelle Pereira somehow decides to even get into grappling exchanges, I still don't even think he has it all together to be able to get him to the ground. I think Stephen Thompson just has too much experience on him.
I could see Pereira waiting like 2 rounds, and after just getting fucked on the feet, he shoots a takedown in the 3rd round.
Mhm.
But even then, like, who's to say he can hold him down?
Yeah.
So I think Thompson minus 150 on the money line is just really good.
Yeah.
Bet.
For sure. And like, yeah, not much else to say about
Yeah.
that.
I think it should be wider.
True. All right. And then for the co-main event.
Yeah.
These photos
We-
make me laugh.
We got Jan Blachowicz taking on Alex Pereira in the co-main event.
Let's go.
Pereira coming up a weight class, making his light heavyweight debut. And this is a tricky fight but not for me. Jan Blachowicz is
Let's
gonna
go.
take down Alex Pereira.
Damn.
You would be an absolute idiot not to. You
Yeah.
actually have to be retarded to not take down Alex Pereira. If you are Jan
Holy
Blachowicz,
shit.
you're on the cusp of a title fight. If you win this, you are fighting for the title against Yuri Prohaska. Like, if you don't take down Alex Pereira, Jan, like
Direct
you
message
need
to
you
y'all.
need to retire. You have to take this man down.
Yeah.
That being said, I think he could win minutes on the feet
I agree with that. Yeah.
because of his when he fought Izzy, he was winning the striking against Izzy. He
Yeah, I know.
won some.
People have talked about the commentary being bad on that fight, but like it's crazy how anyone had anyone but Jan winning on the feet almost the entire time. Like I get that Izzy had moments, but
Yeah,
Jan was winning on the feet the entire time in my eyes. I don't really
Yeah.
see the argument the other way.
he was. I'm a little worried because in that fight, it took him 3 rounds to shoot a takedown
That's
on
true.
Izzy. But why would he need to shoot a takedown when he's winning on the feet as well?
That's it. Yeah.
So that's what's been going on in my head over this fight. And I mean, Jan's got power too. I think if Alex feels it a little bit, I think he'll respect it. Alex Pereira, he's like a fucking master at like checking leg kicks.
Yeah. That's a big
And
fact.
that is a big part of Jan's game. Like we saw him go against Ankalaev and absolutely demolish Ankalaev's legs. Like the dude could not stand.
Yeah.
The only reason Ankalaev won that fight is because he laid on him. He was able to take down Jan. If Jan was able to stuff the takedowns that fight, he would have won, dude. Because I think he would have got a leg TKO, to be honest.
Mhm.
I mean, I got Blachowicz. If you're betting Alex Pereira, like what do you see? You just see like Jan not shooting a takedown? Is that what you're expecting? Are you betting on Alex Pereira who can't even like I don't know if you saw the training footage of Dylan Dennis like ragdolling him.
No, I haven't. I've seen the footage of him like boxing, but never any of that.
Yeah, that was a little clip of like Dylan Dennis just like mauling Alex Pereira.
Dylan
Not a
fucking
good look,
Dennis,
bro.
dude.
I mean,
He's
he's
still alive, bro.
yeah, he's training with Glover, and Glover's has prepared for Jan before,
Mhm.
so that's like something you can hang your hat on, I guess, if you're betting Alex. But I'm gonna need bigger plus money if I'm ever gonna get to the Alex side.
Yeah.
I mean,
Eh.
plus 100 on a guy with no takedown defense who hasn't been tested on his takedown defense, like you just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I will say this that this matchmaking is great though. Like the matchmaking's awesome. I
Yeah,
know we're not
the
betting on
fight's
the
great.
matchmaking. The fight's amazing. This is what I'm the most hyped for. But you know, I would have liked to see Alex Pereira fight someone like Jan Blachowicz earlier on in his career. Obviously, we all know he was fast tracked. Someone like Kelvin Gastelum, who has way more wrestling than Jan Blachowicz has, obviously. But that bursting in the stand up, that's actually something. Like Jan Blachowicz is comfortable backing up and then lulling you into a very comfortable moment, and then when you last expect it, he bursts in with the craziest combination of hook to the body, hook to the head. Like
Yeah,
no one does that except for Jan Blachowicz and like maybe a couple other guys like I said, Kelvin Gastelum. That style of striking kind of has potential against Pereira, and I could see him early on surprising him with it, and then as the fight progresses, then moving on to the grappling after the surprise wears off. I think Pereira could adapt to it because, you know, Jan Blachowicz opens with body shots. Like he'll burst in and open with body shots, but there's like, you know, it's not horrible, it works, but it works until it doesn't. And I could see Pereira capitalizing on that, maybe checking him, and then Jan
Yeah.
Blachowicz then turning into the grappling. I don't see Pereira knocking him out in that scenario. I think that this is going to be a very explosive fight to watch, and it's going to be very sweaty because I think it'll all matter on what Jan Blachowicz does early on in the fight and if he gets caught horribly or if he gets caught out a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then if he gets caught out a little bit, he wins the fight because then he just turns it into a grappling exchange and he wins. Like, I don't see anything else happening.
Yeah, I think Alex will hit him with a left hook. It's
Yeah,
just like,
for sure.
is it going to affect him?
Yeah, but he always surprises people. Like, it's crazy. Jan Blachowicz, I've never seen anyone strike with Jan Blachowicz without being just like having that face of like, holy fuck, this guy's fast. Even though he looks so slow and he lulls you into this like kickboxing point battle with just leg kicks.
Yeah, even Izzy was like, what the fuck? And Izzy's like he's got extremely fast hands.
Mhm.
I mean, if you're going to be Alex Pereira, you need
They also, I mean, DC specifically in the commentary in that fight, I mean, is always horrible, but like was extra horrible about the feints. Izzy's feints, I don't think affected Jan that much. And I think that is a factor of like he was able to capitalize on Izzy's excessive use of feints and not really biting them the way that most people do, and then turning it into a more wild, explosive fight where feints.
I mean, he was
aren't.
like, yeah, DC was meat munching the fuck out of Izzy.
It was crazy. But Pereira doesn't have that type of style as much. He bullies people up against the cage, and then there's actually the presence of an actual strike coming. Versus Izzy, he's waiting for you to bite onto a feint before he starts implementing a game plan.
Dude, I mean, if you're Jan, Izzy throws like 1,000 feints a fucking minute. That's just how he fights.
Yeah.
And if you're Jan, why the fuck wouldn't you flinch, dude? This guy's doing all this shit. Like, why would he?
Crazy.
I don't think he was feint or like biting the feints. I think he was just like kind of flinching, like bracing for like one of the 1,000 flinches to be a punch, you know?
And whenever Izzy did strike, he minimized the ability of it by having such explosive, wild movement and erratic in and out. You know, like those kinds of things kind of neutralize, you know, the effect of feints. If at any point that I feint on you, you can burst in and knock me out. It makes it less effective. And you know, Pereira doesn't have that style as much, but you know, he also still does walk forward on people, you know, now a lot more tactically than someone like Jan Blachowicz, but when he does, I think he does better against more kickboxy type people, and it sets this up, but Jan Blachowicz just isn't that. You know, his leg kicks are to lull you, and then his punches are to come in and surprise you, you know?
Mm-hmm. So some MMA math here. Jan Blachowicz won the striking exchange. Israel took him down. Although Israel, he didn't really like bulk up for that move. Pereira's going to be a lot bigger than Israel. I don't know who's going to be the bigger man here. Alex Pereira is going to be taller probably. Jan maybe like a little thicker, but Alex Pereira is fucking huge, dude. Like, what if he's just too big for Jan to take him down? I don't know.
Yeah, the Glover thing is a huge factor. I think that Glover being in his camp, actually, you said to hang your hat on it, but I do think that does play into it. If Glover was so prepared for Jan that, I mean, obviously that fight was great. Like, he did a great job. Like, if even a little bit of that trickles into Alex's game plan, I could see him having a better time, but not in the takedown defense.
Pereira, he fought 2 months. He got knocked out bad. He got slept months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is such a fast turnaround. I don't know if they were like, well, I don't know if they got word that the title was going to be relinquished or something, and they were like, okay, we need to rush back into the light heavyweight. But yeah, that's a really fast turnaround. I don't know. I don't like that.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I've got Jan. Just for me, it's just Jan money line. I'm not gonna put huge amounts on it. It's just that like I don't see, you know, any game plan he goes with, he has a chance, and then there's one game plan that's extremely obvious that, you know, he dominates in. So
exactly, he's got one chance at winning. It's on the feet. Jan's got more ways to win.
Exactly.
Just rather bet on that, you know.
Cool.
Yep, -120. Jan Blachowicz money line. I like it.
Yeah. This is it's almost like we're talking about a legitimate UFC card for the first time.
Yeah, it's weird when we're not talking about Dudakova fraudulent
Oh no!
Russian promotion fights, dude.
Holy shit! Stop
People
bringing
with
up
actual
Dudakova, dude.
records.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna
I
cry
know.
if you keep bringing up Dudakova, dude. All right,
I know.
we've got the main event: Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier. Do you have anything special going on, or is this just a pick 'em? Because to me, I don't know.
It's a pick 'em, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to go first on this one,
Well,
or?
I was gonna say both of them have shown great skill at a very underrated skill in MMA, which is adapting to someone you've already fought and actually coming with a game plan that, is just like a higher level. You see it in the higher levels where
Yeah.
people face each other multiple times and they, actually adapt. Dustin Poirier has the edge in that skill, in my opinion. I think Dustin Poirier has a better job at adapting to people. He does a better job of making game plans that actually make sense and also having multiple game plans within that. You can see him change as people surprise him, whereas Justin Gaethje changes when people surprise him, but he kind of reverts back to his old self. Dustin Poirier used to be a southpaw brawling boxer, and there are moments where he goes back to that, but it's tactical. He goes back to it as a defense to be able to go back into his stance switching style and go back into his game plan that will keep people. But Justin Gaethje falls back into his old ways whenever he's kind of more, scared, I guess is a better way to put it. But that's not scared, but like it starts to lose. He starts to fall back into a way that I don't see him winning. The leg kick brawler that Justin Gaethje used to be would not win against even old Poirier. Now the adapted new Justin Gaethje versus the adapted new Dustin Poirier, I mean, it's a pick'em, but I think it's a question of who falls back to their old ways as soon as the fight starts, and I see that happening to Gaethje more than Dustin, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I bet Justin Gaethje money line at plus 115, and my reasoning for that is the much more active fighter out of the two, and for where they are in their careers, this is kind of like I see Dustin Poirier as kind of a Michael Chiesa, like when I was talking about it earlier. Dustin Poirier is at a different point in his career than Justin Gaethje. I think Gaethje wants it more. He's gonna want it more in there. Poirier's talking about moving up a weight class to 170. I think if he loses this fight, that's exactly what he's gonna do. And like I said, I don't like betting on guys with backup plans. Justin, he showed incredible discipline against Rafael Fiziev, who is a Muay Thai kickboxer at Tiger Kickboxing in Thailand. And if you're standing and banging with these guys, with guys like that, who's a fucking coach at one of the most prestigious Muay Thai camps in the world, and you're beating him, like he hurt him bad, man. He had his face fucking mangled. I didn't see any point where Justin Gaethje kind of like started throwing wild hooks in that fight. He stayed very composed. He always throws with power, but he wasn't throwing everything in his shots. And I think that's going to be key against Dustin Poirier. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little worried about Justin Gaethje being in a main event spot with like
True.
a BMF title on the line.
I forgot you mentioned that at the beginning. I completely forgot this was for the
Yeah,
BMF, dude.
like yes.
Holy shit.
It's stupid, but like I don't know. Justin Gaethje, if he comes in here and fights disciplined, I think he wins. I think if you're betting Dustin Poirier, you're just betting on, you're basically fading Justin Gaethje.
Yeah.
I don't think
that's a good point.
you believe that Poirier's actual striking ability is better. Because I think both these guys are just, I think the line is perfect where it's at. They're so evenly matched on the feet. It's like, but man, if Justin Gaethje just keeps his striking defense solid, I think he'll win, to be honest. I think that's basically why he's an underdog. I just think because gets wild sometimes. You know.
Yeah, I see that, but I think the leg kicks come into play here, where I think when Justin Gaethje starts to see the leg kicks not doing much against Dustin Poirier, which I could totally see happening, I could see Justin Gaethje, not that Dustin Poirier has invincible legs, it's just that definitely not that.
Yeah, he's a dog, bro.
Well, yeah, the short adjustment, like you were saying, and he's ready to go. And I think the game plan to beat Dustin Poirier isn't leg kicks. Watch me eat my words, and he breaks his fucking leg this weekend. But I think the game plan to beat Dustin Poirier has always been on the board of going to the body. He leaves his body wide open whenever he's protecting his head. People get really stuck on head hunting though with him, and it's so tempting to head hunt a dude who fights weird, because you get so frustrated, and you can see the frustration in the people that fight him. And Dustin Poirier had that style, like he had already adapted his style at that point. The first time they fought, like he still had that, and Justin Gaethje clearly did get frustrated by it. But does he have an answer for it? And the answer is obvious. The answer is go to the body. The answer is start to work him down and make it a more brawly fight. But it's so close to teetering into that war that Justin Gaethje likes getting into, that I could just see him teeing off on him a couple times and just turning that switch on as soon as he starts to win, even. Not even just when he's losing. I could see him start to win and then start to give up on the game plan. So, I've got Dustin Poirier. I just think he's a better adapter. I think that if anything comes up that he doesn't expect in the fight, I could see him switching his game plan, even just between rounds. He's at a high level for that. I don't think Dustin Poirier is insanely impressive in everything else in his career, but his ability to adapt is the one standout feature that I see Dustin Poirier winning this fight with. So.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So cool. This was a fucking good card. We've actually got a good card.
It's a great card.
I mean, these dudes, but this main event back here.
If they were all like, women, it would be better. But
oh wait, I do want to say one thing about the women's MMA fight, the GOAT fight. I did not mention. So I said Miranda Maverick, she's had 2 retina tears. She's had her ocular.
No, you did.
Oh, I mentioned that, but I didn't mention the thing that everyone knows about Priscila Cachoeira. The one thing they know is that she's a famous eye gouger. Famous eye gouger, eye poker.
She's gonna go for blind eyes.
Yeah. She might go for the Tiger Claw finish, and I don't even know what you'd bet to get anything from that, but I just want to call it out so I have it. He's got his Shaman pick of the week. I've got my Shaman pick of the week. I see the Tiger Claw to the eye finish, dude. I see it. I see Miranda Maverick losing an eye as a possible outcome.
If she gets the eye finish, our under hits. So yeah. I'm in full support of Cachoeira eye gouging Miranda Maverick.
Yeah, go for it, Cachoeira, if you're listening.
You got this.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that was Potty Break Picks. We'll see you next Tuesday, and I think we're good. I think we covered everything.
All right. See you guys.
That's it.